Hello, this is Crypto CJ. It's the trade of the day, Friday afternoon Zoom edition. We've had a great week in crypto this week, at least as far as the charts are concerned. Bitcoin's up, I think 15 to 16%. Let's check it out. Okay, should be seeing my Bitcoin day chart.
Yes.
Thank you. And I thought I deleted this. This zone here is sort of irrelevant now. We blasted through that one. I did draw a horizontal line here where we had multiple touches for resistance on the day chart for Bitcoin, and that's at 21.3, and we blasted through that. We're well over $1,000 above that. London time is 2 hours from now, so I'm pretty confident we're going to close over the 21.3 level. So looking at other resistances, there's another one. Yeah, we're going to break through this one here. That's just a minor one anyway. And quite a bit of activity around here. And I've got this 24.4 as the top of my zone going back to June. So there's not much in the way of candle action between where we are now in that 24.4 area. Well, 23.2 would be a better way to say. We have another mini range in here. But absent some god awful crypto crisis like FTX or Luna, or Celsius or Genesis. Of course, now that I've named four of them, maybe I've cursed us. But anyway, short of something like that, we're in good shape to break through that, the top of that range and maybe hit 25 this month or early February. So this is happening sooner than I thought. Thought we'd slog around in the high teens, low 20s for a quarter or two, but we're looking pretty good. Anybody have any thoughts on Bitcoin, the market overall?
I was just going to comment on the increase in volume is really good.
Indeed. Yeah. Let's look at Ethereum.
Do you think there's any news that's causing the pumping, or is it just
Still,
um, sick of being down?
I looked at the news today. The big story was Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, you know, crapping on Bitcoin again. He's worse than China banning crypto. So, but, I thought Twitter treated him rather rudely and deservedly so. JP Morgan was, shoot, we got some noise going on. All right. So, without going into too much of a tangent, JP Morgan was involved in that big Ponzi scheme with Bernie Madoff, several years ago, and like who are they to talk about, illusory financial systems? So I don't know, it's kind of a stretch to compare those, but regardless, there's an amusing article in TradingView about it. Let's see, go over here to Bitcoin.
There's a little button just above the dates that you can click to get the news.
Yeah,
It's you.
yeah, they changed it. So yeah, here it is. Bitcoin is hyped up fraud, says JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon. So he does like blockchain though. So there's that. Anyway, so that's an interesting article. Take a few minutes to read that if you want. I won't do that here. But anyway, I'm liking what I see from Bitcoin. Ethereum is, I never really drew a mini range for it, but we're looking at some resistance here right around 1650. We just broke through it a little bit and retraced a bit. So this is the next area of resistance for Ethereum. And then we got another zone up here, right around 1760, 1770. So Ethereum's looking good too. Any questions, comments about Bitcoin and Ethereum or the markets overall? I mean, everything's up today, a lot of green, some double digits. Dydex is up 30%. Solana's up nearly 20. So actually, let's talk about Solana a little bit. I thought this was really interesting, how this is pumped back.
Wow.
Yeah. So while Craig was snoozing, this was going on. 19%. So loving that. Solana got caught up in the FTX mess because they owned a lot of it, but the technology really wasn't affected to my knowledge. So now that FTX seems to have a plan, it might even go back online again. I can't imagine anybody would trade on it. But that was in the news yesterday or the day before. Maybe that's been the motivation for Solana to pump up the way it has. But I'm pleased to see it doing so well. We'll go over this in a little bit more detail when we go through Altcoin Alert. All right. Speaking of that, let's get started. See if we can find something in Altcoin Alert. I was looking at some things earlier. Going to refresh my screen. Quick review. I'm on the altcoin radar. Easy mode is off, so I've got all the information. Click on AA score, which is one of my first sorts. And AA score can be interpreted in a couple ways. One is it's frequently a coin that's been beaten down that's due for a recovery. But it can also indicate something that's pumping and worthy of catching or latching onto. The latter I don't use as much, but the former, something that's been beaten down and due for recovery, I like because I like dip trades. But there's nothing wrong with riding that trend. So we'll look at both options in the charts that I like to use. We've got Thorchain, very bullish, 81. Solana, 81 as well. Let's go over Thorchain first. And I'm on the 5-minute chart. And we're well into the upper portion of the Bollinger Band, trending up pretty hard. It's following Bitcoin. It's up almost 9%. So I don't see an entry at the moment. We want to catch a pullback, a dip ideally. Give you an example of a 1, 2, 3 dip. 1, 2, 3. It's a sort of one right here. We don't have a squeeze in a bubble as much as I would like. We kind of go for a bubble, a little mini squeeze, and another bubble. But anyway, you get that third dip here. You get the confirmation candle. And then you can ride it to, the SMA line or look for support and resistance. Some resistance here at 0.75. I probably wouldn't use that one. This one here at 1.36, I'd be more interested in. If you pile up some 1% and 2% wins, you can build your balance pretty quickly. So had I taken that trade on the 1, 2, 3 dip, I would have gotten out probably here or maybe about here, probably between 1.3 and 1.5%. It's a decent day trade. Took about 9 hours. Nothing to write home about, but again, if you pile these up, you can do pretty well. Another option, well, actually, or what do we do now? We're going into the weekend. Generally, weekends have lower volume and less action, but last weekend did really well, and the market's pumping now. So
Yes.
Craig discouraged me from my weekend short last week. I do trade on the derivatives exchanges. I love to short, and he saved me from a potential bad trade or two. So I actually had to go back to my spreadsheet to see if I took a short last weekend. I did not. So if you are going to short something, you should have some experience with that kind of thing. And I'd suggest, going in at half to 1/3 your usual amount and employing a stop loss. So, all right, but that's we'll talk about that a little later. RUNE, I'm seeing some short-term support. We want to pull back. So there's some short-term support here at about 175. Again, in this vicinity, around 168. And then, in this vicinity down here between 163 and 165. So I'd probably go with the middle option here around 170. Right click, add an alert, and that's call it AA score purchase question mark is what I like to put the information source on my alert name so I can track where I got the information from. Altcoin Alert is one of 3 or 4 information sources I use, so it's good to note that. And I haven't talked about this much, but you should definitely keep a log of some kind, whether it's handwritten notes. I use a spreadsheet, but that's you should definitely log your trades and your reasoning, why you got into it, and your information source. So that's how I would do a price alert on RUNE on the 5-minute chart. But as you experienced folks know, I prefer indicator alerts on my 15-minute chart. So I'm going to go over there and show you the various options I like to use. What I've been using more lately is the super trend. When the market's trending up in a certain direction, it's sometimes good to just go with that. And for example, had I taken this one, had I been up at 5:45 a.m., would have dipped slightly and then shot up, 7.6%. And I probably would have looked at this area here to give me some guidance as to resistance to get out. I probably would have gotten out probably around here, around 3%. So I would have been at 5 or 10x leverage, 3% trade. That's 30% in 6, almost 7 hours. That's a really good day trade. So that's an example on how to use the super trend. It's really easy to set an alert on it. Right click here, add an alert. You can go with buy, direction change if you want to trade both directions, or sell, short it. And once per bar close, I like to use that so it stays on all day until I turn it off. Also, you don't get repainting with this setting. And then your information source, AA score, and good to go on the super trend buy. So I've already got an alert set for this, so I'm not going to use this one. That'll help you get a small pullback and then ride the trend. If you want to catch a bigger dip, I like these divergence alerts. Divergence is a disagreement between the indicator and the price action. We're looking for bullish divergence if we're trading spot. So here's an example of that here, where the candle action's down, but the indicator is going up. Actually, I don't have that particular indicator on the chart right now, so I can't show it. You'll just have to trust me and the indicator. As you can see, had you gotten in, 1.46, pretty good. Stayed in longer, 3%, pretty good trade on that. But we haven't had one, since Wednesday. We haven't had. You don't usually get divergences when the market's pumping like this. That's why sometimes the super trend is better when there's a clear direction in the market. When the market is bouncing up and down, sometimes the dip trade is better. The dip trade, in my opinion, is a better way to go. And divergence alerts can help you find that. And to set an alert, right click on that, choose positive divergence, once per bar close, and again, name it whatever you want. And then finally, there's the RSI alert. Generally speaking, the common knowledge is when the RSI value, relative strength index, goes above the 70, it's usually due to drop. That's considered overbought. When it drops below 30, that's considered oversold. So you can put an alert on here to try to catch that dip. Here's a good example right here. Didn't quite make it to 30, got really close, like 31. And sometimes I'll show you how to set an alert to catch this kind of thing. But had you gotten in here on that 6:15 yesterday morning, really nice move, with the Bitcoin pump. This one here is a little more dramatic. It drops below. I like it to drop below and then have it work its way back up. So I would have gotten in right about here. 2.3% pretty quickly. That might have been good enough for me. But then it drops and it takes a while before it's profitable again. 2% in 2 days. So you've been stuck in this one for a while. And to do an alert on the RSI, right click on it, add an alert, crossing up, value is 30. But we just missed that one before, so maybe go with 35 once per bar close, and that's going to be your AA score. Okay, so those are all the different types of approaches I use to try to get a good entry from coins shown to me by the by Altcoin Alert through the AA score. Any questions on RUNE? So I went through those in some detail, so I'm going to go through other ones more quickly. Since if that explanation went too fast for you, you might want to catch the replay and watch it again and go over that a couple times. All right, let's go over to Solana, which was the other one that had a value above 80. The 5-minute chart. We've got support here at around 2370. Again here between 2270, yeah, right around 2275, 2210, and down here about 2150. So these are all potential entries with the price alert. On the 15-minute chart for indicators, the SuperTrend, I think we're going to see this pattern pretty frequently. This one didn't do that well at first. Lost 6%, but then came back and dropped again. Then, well, yeah, shot up here. Obviously, this one did really well from this morning. If you're trading both directions, the sells did okay, 2.4% there. It's a really good trade on 10x leverage. This one dropped a little bit, but again, if you're using a stop loss, you probably don't make it to your goal, and then you get stopped out there. So again, shorting is a little tricky in this market. And on the RSI, well, actually, let's go to divergence. Okay, we had a really good bullish divergence last night around 10:15 p.m. And that shot up really well. This one from yesterday morning did well as in addition to that one, 4% there. So those are really good bullish divergence situations. And actually, the bearish divergences did pretty well too. There's 4% there. And 2%. 2% again. Again, I use stop losses if you're going to go short in this market. So that's how divergence looks on the 15-minute chart. And then the RSI, we got a nice move off this dip Thursday morning. And that's the only one I see. You're only going to get this once or twice a day. We had a really good one, and yeah, you would have gotten this and shot up. Yeah, you can't beat that. 15 minutes, 5%. So that would have been a really good one to get. This one did pretty well. 4%. And yeah, so RSI alert would have worked. as well. So Solana's looking pretty good. Any questions on Solana? Okay, let's see what else we can find. I may not need to do any other sorts because the AA score is providing some pretty good stuff. Let me refresh this. Now, the rest of them are below 80, not necessarily a deal breaker. I have been known to look at those in the mid to high 70s as well. Near has had a good move today, almost 15%. That's a quality project in most people's eyes. So let's check out Near. And I've got a price alert on this one. I do subscribe to the daily newsletter by Sheldon the Sniper with the crypto banter. So that's where I got this suggestion. There's some value in having multiple information sources, but it can also be confusing. So, select, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4, and then you might want to make that your limit. Okay, on the 5-minute chart on Near, it's looking like all the others we've seen. Got support here at 230. Again at 225. It's like about every 5 cents, 220, 225, 230. Down here about 210. So those are all potential areas of retracement. On the 15-minute chart for our indicators, SuperTrend. Yeah, it's looking like all the others.
CJ, what's the red line in the middle? Is that a 200-day moving average, or is it something else?
The red line?
Yeah, in the middle of the Bollinger Bands.
That's the SMA line. So simple moving average. So,
Over what time period?
well, it's set on the 50 is
Right.
what I have my Bollinger Band set at. So yeah. That's a good point. When you do add Bollinger Bands, I mean, I've got another video that I did probably about a year and a half ago on how I set up my charts and what my Bollinger Band values are. Yeah, but if you're starting your chart for the first time, click on Bollinger Bands here and it'll load them for you. The default is 20, but the day trading I learned to put it at 50. So I've always used 50. And right, so that's back to the super trend. The buys look good. Even the sells are moving at least 1%. So that's not bad. Yeah, this one here. That might be the way to go on your sells. Just maybe try to get 1% on 10x leverage and use a stop loss. You might be able to pick some up. All right, on divergence, trying to catch the dip. Did have this one here overnight. Had I been up at 130, that would have been a good one. Another good one here, 6:30 yesterday. Another good one here. Wednesday night. So divergence is looking pretty good too. So again, with the market being the way it is, I'd probably lean into that, into a trend. And there's lots of trend indicators, half trend. How many are there? I've probably got multiples. Trend meter, alpha trend, whole trend, multiple super trends. Shaft trend is one I've looked at, STC. So, test them out, see which ones you like the best. Actually, if you like something better than super trend, I'm not married to it. Let me know, and I'll tinker with it. Okay, and then the RSI. we haven't had an RSI dip below 30, since Wednesday morning. That was this one here. And again, we've looked at this setup, on other coins. So that would have been a 3% move. That's really good. Another drop, and 6% if you hung on for a day or so. Okay, any questions on NEAR? Well, against my better judgment, I'm going to look for a short anyway, despite Craig's reservations. Okay, so there's a couple ways you can do this on Altcoin Alert. You can look for a bad AA score, but as you can see, we have 0 in the bearish or very bearish category, so we need not do that. I also like to sort by the Elder Impulse Daily and the long-term sentiment. Long-term sentiment is the Twitter data, what people are talking about, and you can hover over this question mark and get a description of that one. And then this one here, the Elder Impulse Daily, which is a technical indicator. So when these two align, they're both bullish or both bearish, I usually want to investigate further. I'm going to sort by Elder Impulse Daily and look for something it doesn't like. And earlier, yeah, it's still here, DOT. It's got DOT as bearish on long-term sentiment and on the Elder Impulse Daily. It does have a nice move today, up nearly 8%. So let's check it out for potential short. Okay, so we're going to go opposite of what we usually do. So instead of a 1, 2, 3 dip, I'll look for a 1, 2, 3 pump. And above the Bollinger Band, we got a single pump, and then it drops, and no additional pumps. So not really seeing what I'm looking for in the 5-minute. I could look for, there is some resistance, a little bit of resistance here. We're pretty close to it already, so I don't see much value in setting an alert up here. So I'm gonna go to my 15-minute and look at SuperTrend. Let's see what the sell alerts have done on SuperTrend lately. Yeah, this one did pretty well. Down 3%. If I held it longer, almost like 4.5%. So that's a good trade. And then the other one that kicked in was this one here. And just a small move, about 0.5%, and then probably stopped out on this one. So that would be one way to go. Let's see if we get better results looking at divergence. These divergences did okay. About 1.5%. Again, if you just go for 1%, the odds are in your favor. This one didn't quite make it. Yeah, probably stopped out on that one. This one here. Yeah, 1%, 1.5%. This would have been stopped out on both of these probably. Not loving divergence at the moment. Then the only RSI we have where it goes above the 70 drops again is this one here from yesterday or Wednesday morning. And it dips below here. So might have gotten in here, rise up here, and then yeah, I would have set my stop loss probably at about 624. So I would have held on there and then probably got out around here somewhere. Maybe here if I was keeping an eye on it. So that would have been a good trade on the RSI dropping below. On this, we're above the RSI 70 as we speak. So I think I'll throw in a little alert here, see what happens. Crossing down instead of up on the 70. It's per bar close, and that was an Elder Impulse Sword, I believe. And I'm good to go. But will I take the trade? We'll see. Sometimes there's some value in waiting for a double drop. It drops once, comes back up, and then drops again, kind of like a retrace. Okay, any questions on my short of the weekend on DOT? Okay, well, that's about all I have to go over. Any questions or other coins or projects you want to look at on Altcoin Alert or just in general?
Hey, CJ, this is Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
I do have a couple questions on Altcoin Alert.
Okay.
Um, is there a certain like when you look at the AA score, it says right now Sky, it's well it just changed.
Hmm.
But is there like the 24-hour change? Is there a certain percentage that you look at, either high or low?
Yeah, there's a couple ways I evaluate the AA scores. One is if I'm looking for a dip trade, and it's, what this is telling me is that there's an 81.7% chance that Solana is going to go up 3% or more in the next 48 to 72 hours. That's what the Altcoin Alert people tell us. This value has. So that means there's a nearly 20% chance it won't. And obviously, the software can't predict, a Luna or FTT implosion, anything like that. Some news event could wreck your trade. But again, with normal circumstances, that's how it works. So it ends up to you to manage the trade. What do you do with that? That's why I tried to show you some different ways to get in. How to get better entries and just throwing a dart at the wall. And then I'm usually trying. I don't really have any formula that when I see something like this that's when it's changed, nearly 20%. I usually think this is going to be played out, but I could be wrong. So I'd be more interested in this one here, RUNE, that's gone up about 9%, has a high, AA score, and might make a similar move as Solana. Probably not, but and I'm just looking to get usually 2, 3, 4%. I'm gonna be on probably 5x leverage, 10x leverage, something like that. So that's a really good trade for me. Then, like I showed you earlier with the support and resistance, that's what I'm looking at to determine where I get out. So
yeah, I've noticed that you use a lot the 5 minute chart and the 15-minute chart.
Yep.
And that's all for short term investment or trades.
Yeah, I think Altcoin Alert works best as day trading, but some people use it for swing trading as well. Bryce uses it for that reason. So
okay. Yeah, so I mean, personally, I don't have time to sit here and watch the charts and watch the trades all day long because I work.
Yeah, I don't either, but oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just trying to figure out a better way of getting into these trades and hopefully making some money.
Well, if you're working these around a job, you might want to go with a longer time frame on your charts. I'm using the 5 and 15 because that's what I'm used to. At this time I do work from home, so I can't break away from what I'm doing to address a trade if I want to, but not everyone has that luxury. So if you're working at a job where you can't do that, instead of, the Solana trade on the 15-minute chart, you might want to look at the hour chart.
Okay.
Wait for a
That's what I was kind of
pullback.
figuring.
Yeah, we haven't had a pullback below 30 since but we had one Wednesday morning when we had that drop. But had you been able to get in here maybe after work, so you get off at work at 5, then that's pulled back, your alert goes off, and you get in and you ride it a little bit, but now you're up 20% if you stay in that long. I probably would have looked at this resistance here and gotten out around here. I love 10% trades, so be thrilled with that.
Yeah.
10% in 2 days, that's awesome. So you might want to use this more as a swing trader than as a day trader like I do, but the concepts still apply. You just use them on a longer time frame.
Okay. All right. Do you use multiple exchanges for trading on, or are you just trading
Yeah,
off?
I like to have a goal with, this is actually pretty recent with me. If there's a certain goal I'm trying to achieve, then I will trade one exchange for that purpose. Right now, you know, I've been trading for over 3 years, so I'm comfortable trading on leverage. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use 5 or 10x leverage. I use Bybit with a VPN and BitGet. Those are the 2 I'm using right now. For spot trading, I use Coinbase. I don't do much of that anymore, but you know, sometimes. And KuCoin's pretty good too, but you know, not financial advice, but those are the ones I use.
Right.
So
Right.
The other option you can do is just set limit orders. So work out where you think if it's going to get to it, it's a good spot. Set a limit order with a stop loss and to take profit. And then after you've analyzed your chart, it's all automatic.
yep,
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
a good
no, the reason I
suggestion.
was asking that question is because I've been setting up trades but not executing them. But most of them seem to be coming up on
So Rachel said.
KuCoin lately. And that you can only do 5x.
Yeah, and if you're a new trader, you probably shouldn't trade on leverage at all. But if you are using, especially to short something, you should probably stay like 1 or 2x.
Yeah, no, I'm
Anyway,
not doing
so
any short yet. I don't know enough about it.
yeah, it's good, man.
One other question about Altcoin Alert. I've been noticing that when you go through like the AA score, the impulse, sometimes you get some coin that shows up on multiple columns.
Sure.
So that would be a better trade than something that would only come up on AA. Am I correct on that, or am I not looking at that?
Maybe.
Right?
You know, we looked at RUNE earlier. It's still very bullish. We got bullish on Elder Impulse, but neutral on the sentiment. So people aren't talking about it that much, but the technicals look good. So, you know, you can take that information for what it's worth. When I see the score, I just think this is either trending up or it's been beaten down, it's due for a recovery, and it just depends what the market's doing at the time. If we were looking at, I mean, today the market's been popping, so you know,
Right.
it's finding things that are trending up. But a lot of times we'll look at this and there'll be high AA scores and the market's been beaten down. And then that's when AA is telling us that, you know, these coins are due for a recovery. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, people get a little, and people get annoyed when they first start this because they see a high AA score and then they see, you know, bloodbath over here and they think these are correlated and they aren't necessarily. So, okay, any other questions?
Not for
All right.
me.
Thanks, Dennis. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up then on the Altcoin Alert side. If you're watching on the recording, thanks for doing that. Please check out the opportunities in the pinned comment. And hopefully we'll see you on Monday. If you're here for Carbon, stick around. We'll start that Zoom shortly. I'll be right back. If you're leaving us, that's okay. Have a good weekend.